the MLOps Bootcamp. Now, as we progress in this module, that is in today's session, we'll be looking into the Python for MLOps. So, guys, thank you again for joining in. Can you give me a quick confirmation that whether you are able to hear my voice and see my screen? So please make use of Q&A or the chat window, or respond me through the comments if you have joined through our social media channels. So please confirm, folks. Okay, thank you, Josie. Thank you, Rakshit. Thank you, Dheeraj. Uh, okay, thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you, Sridhar. Excellent. Thank you so much, guys, for confirming. So we'll give another minute and then we'll get started. So in the meantime, for the folks who have joined through the social media platforms, okay, I'm just sharing you the link, guys, the meeting link, which you can use it to join it as a inside a webinar session so that you'll have an opportunity to ask the questions too. So this way you get the most of this webinar session. Okay, so thank you so much everyone again for joining in. And this webinar series is to assist the learners in the learning journey of MLOps. So you can, like you are already seeing these days, the way in which the AI and the machine learning is actually progressing. Now, one of the key challenge that we face in the current industry right now is the ability to realize the benefits of this AI in the current world. So we've got the team of data scientists, we've got the team of experts who are now able to build the amazing models. But the challenging that comes right now is how do I get the most benefit of the model that we have developed? So how do we realize the potential of the model which we have in our Jupyter Notebook environment to our production system where our end users are using? Now, to solve this problem, to help the learners to progress in the learning journey, so we have already created courses, which I can say most of you are already part of in our learning journey of MLOps, which is MLOps Bootcamp, and we have also created the courses with MLOps with AWS. Now, all these are there to help you progress, take your learning journey from your notebooks to the production system. But one issue and the challenges that we started seeing from the learners is like sometimes the learners would stuck, and because of the way in which it's a self-paced modules are designed, you might get lost in your learning journey. Now, these webinar sessions are added to ensure that you stay on track and you progress in your learning journey, and more importantly, address any of the queries that you might have during your learning journey. So each session will be focused on an individual module where I'll give you the important things that you need to remember from that module. Now, even if you're not member of a learning journey, that's still fine. You will get the gist of what you need to learn in your MLOps journey, and then the last 10 minutes, we'll keep it aside to answer any of the queries that you might have in your learning journey. You can also let me know the challenges that you're facing right now in your current project, and if you want to discuss as how you can take the experimentation that you're doing in the organization to the next level. Yes, you can also feel free to let me know as well. We can have a discussion. I'll do my best to provide the input. So that's the overall idea and the agenda of these sessions, guys. That is the MLOps series. Now, folks, before we get started with today's agenda of this Python for MLOps, so I want to know from you as how comfortable are you with Python programming language? So what is your comfort level when it comes to Python programming language? Can you please let me know? Rakshit is a beginner. Ramya says, sir, I'm part of your data science program. Okay, that's great, Ramya. And how about others? Okay, Dheeraj is at the intermediate. Josie is at the intermediate level. Okay. Okay, Dheeraj Vasishtha is at intermediate level. Okay. Okay, Lakshmi Kant is at the like he's a data scientist and is quite comfortable. Okay, thank you, Lakshmi Kant. How about others? So what's your comfort level in Python programming, guys? Okay, uh, Sridhar is a beginner. Okay, Samyukta is a beginner. Sampriti is a beginner. Okay, Dheeraj Kumar is an intermediate level. Okay, excellent, guys, and thank you so much for the responses. So I see a few more responses that are coming in. Samira Gautam is a beginner. Vijay is a beginner. Okay, I can see most of the learners are beginner. Okay, that's fine. So the agenda of today's session is we'll review the important concepts from the Python programming language perspective, and we will concentrate specifically on the topics which are relevant for your MLOps journey. So one of the important concept that I can say right now when we talk about the MLOps journey is working with modules and packages which you will be building as part of your packaging your machine learning model. So we will start with pretty basics and then we'll take you through some of the important concepts that you need to be aware of, especially the modules and packages, and then we'll discuss about any of the queries that you might have, guys. So that's how we'll be progressing. Now, as I mentioned already, so feel free to ask any questions as we progress in this session because I want to ensure that this webinar session should be as much useful as possible to you. And if you also have got any feedback, do let me know as well. So let's get started, guys. So here, when we talk about Python for MLOps, so the overall journey of this programming is basically around the like this problem that we are trying to solve. Now, when we think about any real world application, whether it is the Alexa or any application that you see right now, someone has written some logic and this logic has been written in a programming language. Now, why programming language? Because that's the language the computer can understand. So we'll be writing the code in a programming language which the computer can understand so that we can get things done with the help of the computer. So that's the basic idea about this programming. And in our learning journey, we have made use of the Python programming language. We have got various programming language. Out of all this programming language, we have actually started using this Python. The key reason that we have used the Python because it's easy to use, it's a popular programming language, and it has got an extensive library support, including the huge community to get the support and proceed ahead in the learning journey. And here, uh, the Python developer is the Guido von Rossum, and the main idea was to create the basic or a beginner-friendly programming language. And this Python programming language is being used in a variety of companies. I'll just skip through this. So then once you now have the introduction to Python, so the next thing is in order to get yourself started, in order to start coding in Python programming language, or obviously you need a development environment. Now, what we'll be doing is we'll be using the development environment of Jupyter Notebook, which we'll be installing through Anaconda distribution. So to install the Anaconda distribution, you can go to the anaconda.com. That is, you can simply say Anaconda download. And from there, depending on the operating system, go ahead and download it and perform the installation. And that would take care of the necessary things for you to get started in the Python programming language. Now, once the system is ready, you can directly launch your Anaconda Navigator. Now, once the Navigator has been launched, you can instantiate the Jupyter Lab environment so that you can get started with the coding with this Python programming language. So once the Anaconda Navigator has been launched, this is how the interface would look like. You can quickly say launch Jupyter Lab. So this is going to launch the Jupyter Lab in your browser, and from there you can quickly get started in your learning journey. So let me just bring up the code that we have got. So for the demonstration purpose, I'll just bring up the code, which is from our Python for data science MLOps. I think it's, yeah, Python for MLOps. Okay, so I'll just bring up the notebook that we had already created for core Python programming language, and it's the same repository that I'm referring to, which is basically the github.com/manifold AI learning. And if you go over here, there's a repository which is about complete MLOps Bootcamp. And this is the repository which I'm currently using for our demonstration. I'm sharing over here as well. Okay, I've shared over here on every Windows so that you will have an access. So this is the source code that we are currently going to use. So this is the notebook. Now, when we talk about this programming language, so some of the core basics, like we start with very much basics. Now, when you say basics, it starts with creation of variable. So we started by creating a variable. To create a variable in Python, we'll say variable name followed by the value. So here X is a variable name and I'm assigning the value 10. That's how we would create a variable in Python. And when we are creating the variable, few things that you have to remember in Python programming languages. The variable name should start with letter or an underscore. And the variable name can be alphanumeric. It can be case sensitive. Yeah, it is case sensitive. And it should not be a reserved word, which is nothing but the keyword. So these are the core aspects that you need to remember when we talk about properties of the variable. To give you some of the correct examples of variables, x underscore 123, x underscore 12312. So these are all the examples of proper variable name. Now, these are all the examples of incorrect variable name because here the variable name is starting with the numerical value, isn't it? And is this a case sensitive? So uppercase, lowercase, both are actually different. And then we have seen the various keywords. So these are all the various keywords, which we have to ensure that when we are creating any variable, we should not be using such keywords as my identifier, that is for my variables. Okay, and then we have looked into the various data types. That means the type of values that we can assign to our variable. It can be numeric, it can be Boolean, it can be data structure, which is nothing but the collection object, it can be string, or it can be the special data types as well. So numerical, Boolean, strings. Now strings can be defined inside the single quotes, double quotes, triple single quotes, and triple double quotes. So all these would mean the same thing. So if I want to define a multi-line string, so you need to remember that I'll be defining a string in the triple single quote or the triple double quote. Okay, so that's the core idea, folks, that of like that you have to know from the data type standpoint. And then we have looked into the collection object, which involves the list, tuple, dictionary, and set. and followed by the operators, which will help us to perform the operation on the given operands. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponentiation, modular. So these are the various operators that we have seen. And we also have the comparison operator to compare between two operands. And we have looked into the assignment operators, and we have seen how to combine the assignment operator with the uh, arithmetic operator. That is also that we have seen. And then like here we talk about the like combination of my division operator with my equality sign. So this basically, so these are the core things that you need to remember when we talk about the operators. Then we also have the bitwise operators. Bitwise operators will help me to have the bit representation of the data and apply the AND gate or OR gate. And identity operator will help me to check the identity. And we have the membership operators in Python. And this will help me to check whether my individual element is part or whether it is a member of my collection object. Okay, and when we talk about the collection object of string, some of the common operations that we perform on any data structure or the collection objects is concatenation, repetition, membership operator, length, indexing, and slicing. So concatenation is nothing but it's a scenario where I have got two strings. Let's assume that I have string right here, right? I'll show you. Okay, so here I have two strings right here. X is one string and Y is another string, and concatenation is nothing but placing one string next to the another string, and that's called as a concatenation. Okay, so that is what we call it as the concatenation. Then to perform the repetition, we'll say x star 2. X star 2 is going to help me to perform the repetition. Okay, that means it will help me to repeat the same value multiple times. So that's the idea about repetition. The membership operator that would help me to check whether the part of string is present inside my given string, let's say in this case x. So that is going to return me the true or false, and we can get the length of a string. And this string also supports indexing and slicing. So indexing would help me to fetch the element by referring its index position, and slicing will help me to fetch the subset from the given sequence. And the indexing starts from 0. And when we are performing the slicing, the start index is inclusive and the end index is exclusive. Okay, so that's the core idea right here, folks. And then we have looked into the built-in functions. Okay, we have looked into the built-in functions inside this string. So we have got capitalize for the first letter capitalization. We have got is alum to check whether the string is an alphanumeric or not. And we have got the lower function to convert the string into a lowercase, upper to convert the string into the uppercase, string to like strip to remove the additional spaces. So these are all the various inbuilt functions that we have seen with the string. Now I'll take a pause here, guys. Now, any questions on these basics? I'm just going through at a very high level since most of you are aware, because most of you have mentioned that you are intermediate, advanced, and some of you are mentioned that you're already aware. So, is this space is okay, or do you want me to speed up or speed down? Please let me know, folks. Okay, Rakshit says all good, sir. Sridhar, all good. Okay. Lakshmikant, all good. Samyukta, okay. Josie says, okay. Okay, Akshat says, can you make some finance-based project like using LSCM Arima? Definitely, Akshat, we can definitely plan in the future sessions. Okay, Kumar says, okay. Rajiv says, the pace is okay. Subhash is okay. Perfect, guys. So thank you for confirming. So let's proceed ahead. So we have looked into the string data type, and then the coming to the other basics that you need to remember from the MLOps standpoint is working with the data structures. So we have got the Python list, which is nothing but the collection object, which we place it inside the square brackets, okay, where every element will be separated by space, separated by comma, and it can contain the values belonging to the various data type. So it means it's a heterogeneous collection of the data. Then this list like will show the same properties just like we have seen for the Python string. So it will show the properties like concatenation, repetition, membership testing, length, and we can also perform the indexing, slicing. So all the concepts that has been applied for string will be applied for Python list as well. Okay, then we also have some built-in functions which are specific to the Python list. So we have the append to add the value at the end of the Python list. We also have remove to remove an element from the Python list. And in this way, we can make use of the same. And we also have the insert if you want to insert a value to a Python list at a certain index position. Then we have the tuples. So tuples, one key thing that you need to remember is, so tuples has an important property which is immutability. So where once the tuple has been created, you cannot modify the elements of the tuple. Okay, then it tuple supports indexing and slicing, and when you try to perform some operation, let's say concatenation, repetition, membership testing, everything is supported. Then this is followed by the data structure, that is Python dictionary, which is composed of the key value pair. So the Python dictionary is nothing but it's a composed of key value pair where you have a key and the value, and you can add a new key value pair as per your requirement with the help of assignment operator. You can reassign with the new value, and you can get the keys by returning as x dot keys and x dot values for the keys and values of my Python dictionaries respectively. And we have a Python set. Now in this Python set, so it basically holds the unique values of the mentioned data. So that's one of the important property of this Python set. So we generally use it to extract the unique values from a certain column. Okay, and it's an unordered collection, which means you cannot perform the indexing. Then the another key thing that you need to remember is the explicit casting and the implicit casting. So casting is nothing but converting the value from one data type to another data type. So implicit casting is nothing but Python automatically converts from one data type to another data type automatically. That's called as an implicit casting scenario. So depending on the data, it will convert it automatically. Now, when we say explicit casting, it's a scenario where we manually say what kind of data type that I want to assign. Okay, so that's called as an explicit casting. So Python supports both implicit and the explicit. And to read an input from the user, we have the input function using input and specify an information and like specify some hint right here. This would help me to read an input from the keyboard. Then we have looked into the string formatting, and one of the most commonly used formatting technique is the f-string formatting, which we have seen already. Now, f-string formatting is a scenario where at the beginning of the string, I'll say it as f. Then I can just populate the variables by making use of the placeholders which are inside the curly braces. Okay, so that's the concept behind this f string. Then we have looked into the conditional statements in Python, where we can make use of the conditional statements like if. So I can say if condition, and if the condition is passed, I can execute a part of code. And we can also combine the if with else, so that if the condition fails, we can also mention uh, what's the like what is the statement it has to execute. Then we have looked into the control statements, which are nothing but the loops. Now these loops are important, especially when we want to execute a statement and group of statement uh, as per our requirement. So that's the idea about this loops. And we have a list comprehension and the various functions. Like functions is nothing but it will help, functions will help us to create a code, and then we can run that code multiple times by simply calling in the function. And these function can accept the parameter. That means each and every execution, I can control it by sending my own values, and I can compute the output from that function. So that's the idea about this function. Now, we also have a concept called module. Now, modules are nothing but here, these are nothing but the Python file. Okay, the modules in Python, it's very important. Let me spend little while over here. So when we talk about the module, okay, the modules are the code that we'll be writing in a Python script file. That is, it will have the it will have the extension as .py. And once you create that Python file, okay, so what you will can do is you can load it inside the program. So you can load it inside the program. So by default, whenever I want to load a module, I would expect that that module is present in a folder which is accessible by my system path. Okay, it should be accessible from my system path. Like for example, in order to check the same, I can say import sys. I'll say sys.path. So this will return to me what are the path that my system is going to check when I'm trying to load a module. Now, in my case, I'm trying to load the module which is my module. Okay, I'm trying to load the module which is my module. So to avoid the confusion, so I'll not disturb the file that we have as part of our course. So I'll just create a new file which I'll be committing it separately. So here we are discussing about the module, and this is one of the part where most of the learners have struggled during the packaging activity. So let me brief a bit about modules, and this intuition is very much important when you're packaging your machine learning model. So as I've mentioned, modules are nothing but the Python scripts. So in my case, I've already created a Python script which says as my module. And now I can simply say import my underscore module, and this will load my module into my notebook environment. But if I have another module, let's assume that I have got a module. So let's consider an example. So we'll take up the example of our packaging. So I've got a module under this packaging ML model. So there is a module called, let's say, predict. So if I say import predict, and if I execute this, see, it's giving me an error that says as no module named predict. So which means there is a rule that we need to follow whenever we are trying to import a module. So what is that rule? So the rule is if I want to import any module, this module path should be part of my system path. In order to get the system path, we'll import the system module, and I'll say system.path. So this will tell me where and all the folder location that my Python is going to search when it is trying to load a particular module. Now in this case, okay, so import says system.path. It says that this is one location where it is searching for my module, that is my like whenever I try to import it, let's say my module or import predict, first it will check the current working directory. So this is my current working directory which is inside my repository and the folder of Python for MLOps. Now if the system doesn't find it here, Then it will search inside this location where my Anaconda library has been installed, Anaconda has been installed, and site packages. And these are the folders the system is going to check in a sequential model so that it can load my module. Now, in my case, if I want to load this predict module, which was present under a different location itself, so in such scenarios, we have to add that path, guys. So the way that we are going to add it is, I'll say sys.path, okay, dot append, and here you will have to mention the complete location of that folder. So let's assume that if I go inside this package model and prediction underscore model, now I'll have to get the complete path and I'll have to add that path. Okay, I'll have to add that complete path. So I'll now show it to you the complete code. I'll have to say system.path.append users my desktop. Under that, there's a folder of author repo, and under that, I'll have to mention the complete location where that file is present. Okay, once I add it into my sys.path, we can validate it. Sys.path, I can now see that the newly mentioned path is present. And now when I say import predict, okay, so this should be able to import it. Now in this case, I'm getting a different error which says as no module named prediction underscore model. But the important thing that you need to remember is I am able to load this predict module. So it is unable to load a different module. That's a whole different story. So that we'll be looking at it in our future webinar session. But for now, you can clearly observe that, okay, I'm able to load my predict module. So this is an important thing that you need to remember. Whenever you want to load a module from a different folder, ensure that that module's path is part of this sys.path. Okay, so is it clear to everyone, guys? So please confirm by typing as all good if this concept is clear. If you have got any question, please feel free to let me know. Okay, thank you, Josie. Thank you, Rakshit. Thank you, Samiksha. Thank you, Sridhar. How about others? Thank you, Lakshman. Thank you, Raji. Thank you, Subhash. Excellent. Thank you so much, team, for confirming. Okay, now the next concept that you need to be aware from the core Python standpoint, especially for the from the perspective of the MLOps is package. So package is nothing but it's made up of multiple Python modules. A package is made up of multiple Python modules, and to enable that we are going to load it as a package and work with the same. So the way that we structure is in each and every folder we are going to place underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. So uh, this is the file that we would specify init.py to make that folder accessible from the other location. So by doing like this, we will be ensuring that all the Python modules which are part of that folder is accessible without any issues. And the package is obviously will be made up of multiple modules which we'll be organizing it such a way that there will be an easier way to access it. So that's the main intuition of the package in Python programming language. Now in our learning journey, in future, you'll also see how we can go ahead and create a package and to give you at a very high level. So you can check inside the folder of this prediction underscore model where we have actually created a package by implementing the code in a hands-on manner. Okay, so that's the importance of the package. We'll generally mention setup.py and we'll specify the prediction underscore model. And if you check in each and every folder, there is underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py file present. Not just here, in each and every folder, we have this file present. Okay, so that's the intuition of this developing the package, developing or creating the custom package. Now, apart from that, another key concept which you need to know specifically from the MLOps and the machine learning is the concept of classes and object. Now, if I want to make it very simple, so think of the classes as the blueprint. So just like you will create a blueprint if you want to construct your home with the help of the architect, in the same way, a classes defines how your real objects will be. Okay. Now, just like by referring to the blueprint, we will construct our real home. In the same way, using the class, we are going to create the object. So object is the one which has got the physical existence, and a class, it does not have a physical existence. Now, in order to create a class in Python, we'll say class keyword followed by the class name. Then inside the class, we can have a variable. The variables inside the class is known as the attributes, and the functions inside the class is known as the methods. Okay, now when we are creating any class, so especially in Python, there is a special method that's called as an init method. So using this init method, we can initialize, okay? We can actually go ahead and initialize the object itself during the creation, because this init method will be executed whenever we are trying to create any object. And when we define any method inside a class, so we are going to specify the self as the first parameter for our method. Now, whenever we are creating any object, this object itself will be sent in the place of self. And that's the reason the first parameter we generally mention it as self. And to create an object, we'll say object followed by class name. And inside the parenthesis, we will mention the parameters for our init function. Okay, that's how we can create the classes and object. And Python also supports the inbuilt way to work with the file. Okay, so it will also provide the inbuilt way to work with the file. We can make use of open function, and we can open the file and open it in various modes so that we can read the data from the file. And lastly, the another concept that you need to remember is the escape characters. So we can make use of these escape characters so that we can go ahead and add the additional details for our Python script. So that's the core idea of working with the core Python programming language, folks. Now, I'll be sharing you this notebook that we have just reviewed. Just have a quick glance over the same and let me know if you have got any questions. So if you're clear, if you do not have any further questions, so please confirm by typing as all good. But if you have got any question, please feel free to let me know. In case if you want to speak, if you have joined from the our meeting link, so feel free to let me know. I can unmute you as well in case if you want to ask any specific questions for me. I'll give you 2 minutes. Just review the code, guys. Thank you, Dheeraj. Thank you, Josie. Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you, Samyukta. Okay. Sure, Rajiv, I'll give you a minute, so please go through the same. All right, team. So I see confirmations coming in from other learners as well. Thank you guys for confirming. Okay, now once this is completed, okay, now let's proceed ahead with the next concept. So once this core Python is completed, the other thing which would be beneficial. It's not mandatory. I mean, if you're working in a core MLOps, obviously it's not mandatory to know, but in our learning journey, since we wanted to give you a complete idea, so we have also added the content as well, which are related to the Python for data science. So let's have a quick review around it so that we'll get some background around it as well. Okay, let me just bring up the notebooks which are part of our Python for data science. So when we say Python for data science, here we will look into the libraries which are specifically used for our data science. Okay, I also see confirmation from Dhanpal. So thank you, Dhanpal. Okay, so here we like I'll not go deep over here, but I'll talk from the perspective as what are the key things that you need to be aware so that it is easier for you. When we talk about Python for data science, so we use this NumPy library, which is known as numerical Python. So this numerical Python library is what we use it to create the array object, which is in the n-dimensional array object, which provides the various function to create an array, and it also provides the functions for performing the operations on this NumPy array. It provides a linear algebra function, it provides a trigonometric, it provides all the types of scientific and the mathematical calculation functions so that we can perform the operation in a better manner. And then we have a pandas library. Now this pandas library is built on top of this NumPy library. So one key thing that you need to remember is when you're working with NumPy library, all the objects should be of same data type. So all the objects should be of same data type. And now when we are working with the pandas library, so this is very much closer to the type of data that we deal in the real-time environment. So we'll be working with the object that's called as data frame, which will be helping us to load the data such a way that in a tabular format where we have the rows and the columns and every column can have the individual data type. And Matplotlib and Seaborn library are basically there for us to create a visualization for the given data set. So from the role of MLOps. Okay, from the role of MLOps, uh, like MLOps engineers. So you'll not be straight away working with the data. So, but it is a good thing to keep in mind. So to get a clear picture as how exactly everything is working. Now, when the model is given to you, and if you are dealing with such model and if you want to implement it, so maybe just to while performing the debugging, it is much beneficial if you are aware of these libraries so that you can quickly debug the code and solve the issues and ensure that you are able to proceed with the model with the further steps. So that's the core importance of these modules, that is NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, and Matplotlib, guys. So this was about the overall idea of the Python for MLOps. So guys, uh, like uh, like with this, we come to the end of this today's session, guys. Now, before I end the video or end this session, guys, okay, so I just want to share one key things that you have to remember from the interview standpoint when you're preparing for MLOps, especially from the core Python programming is. So I would highly recommend, okay, I would highly recommend from the interview standpoint and even when you're working. So please focus on the core Python fundamentals because as a MLOps engineer, so you'll be more interested in packaging. You'll be more interested in integrating your model code into the application code that you have got. So I highly recommend you to practice more and get comfortable in working with Python scripts. So look into the various documentation of the core Python that would help you to be comfortable in working with various inbuilt attributes, various inbuilt function, so that you are able to load multiple Python scripts, call it in a sequential manner, and you have a complete control over there. That's one of the key tip that I want to give you right now. And from the interview standpoint, your questions, if it is a interview which is based on the coding, then your questions will be around creating the module and which object or which data type is much beneficial when you're working with the data set. Like for example, if you're given with the option to choose either tuple or a Python list, then it is recommended to choose a tuple if there is a possibility that there is no changes in the data. So those are the core concepts that you need to brush up on when you're preparing for your interview. All right, guys. So this was about the Python for MLOps, folks. Now, with this, we come to the end of today's session. So, folks, I want to know from you whether do you have any questions or any queries on the discussion that we had till now, or even in MLOps in general. If you have got any questions, please do let me know. If you're clear, please confirm by typing as all good. Thank you, Rakshit. Thank you, Damayanti. Murugan says, can you share MLOps material? Definitely, Murugan. Thank you, Dheeraj. Thank you, Josie. Okay, so folks, all the code that we have been using, let me do one thing. Let me share you the direct page. I think it's slash p. Yeah, I think this is the one. So all the source code that I have used in the session, you can get it. The slides are part of this page. So let me share you the link, guys. So you can access all the source code that we have used in the GitHub repository, which you can refer to the GitHub repository that I've shared earlier for the source code, and you can refer this link for getting the slides as well. All right, guys. Now, before I end the today's session, I just want to introduce you to the new course that is in pipeline by Manifold AI Learning, which is LLM Ops with ChatGPT Hugging Face model, where you will be deploying into the production environment. So this is an early access course where you will be performing two projects on LLM, that is the large language models. One is building the LLM model with the help of like building an AI application, which is based on GPT LLM using the chat GPT, where you will be implementing in real life real time, and there are some exciting stuff that are part of this curriculum where you will be learning about prompt engineering, which is a hot topic these days. You will be learning about the prompt engineering and looking into the technical details of LLM. You'll start with building the LLM application using ChatGPT. You will package that LLM application and you will deploy the container application with Kubernetes, which follows the industry practices as well. And as I mentioned, this is in progress. You'll have the complete access like by I think 16th of April. That's the date that is present. And this contains some of the exciting stuff like GitHub Action, Kubernetes, how to do setting up the Kubernetes on Google Cloud, implement the automation with GitHub Action. And the second project is about the Hugging Face model, how to work with the same, which includes monitoring of the LLM models in production environment. So I would highly recommend you to check out this upcoming course, register yourself, and be a part of the early group where you also have an option to provide the feedback to Manifold AI Learning team so that you also have a say. Let's assume that you want to add some, you want to request for additional unit on a specific topic that can also be accommodated as part of your learning journey, guys. Okay, I've shared you the link. I would invite you for checking out our course, and all the courses are having the 30-day refund policy, which means no questions asked. If you don't like it, you have an option to ask for the refund, especially the self-paced courses. So that's the confidence that we have got on the courses, guys. Okay, you'll also get the discussion forum. So I look forward to seeing you on the course, guys. And again, thank you so much, guys, for joining in our learning journey today. So we'll be conducting further sessions going forward, where in the next module, we'll be looking into the further units in our learning journey. So that's how we'll be progressing. So again, guys, if you have got any question, please feel free to let me know. And if you're clear, so please confirm by typing as all good and feel free to drop. So I look forward to seeing you on our next webinar session. So take care, everyone. Okay, Deeksha says, is it an early access? Definitely, yes, Diksha. So you already have a content. So currently the progress is still here, where you will be deploying the container application with Kubernetes. And currently I'm working on the GitHub Actions unit and setting up these. Maybe I'll be completing this three sections by the end of mid next week. So that's when you'll be able to see the sections 11. So as and when the course are getting uploaded, you'll be able to see those videos over here in the portal. So you will have the first time access compared to others. Okay, Python live query. Definitely, we can definitely plan for the same. Okay, any other questions, folks? Okay, and also there is a question from Rakshit sir. What about the course? Yeah. Okay, sure, Rakshit. So the course that we have just discussed or the code that we have used, it's from this course. You can also get the access over here as well. Okay. So leaving aside this course, guys, I hope this session you found this. I hope you found the session as useful. So if you have got any feedback, please feel free to let me know. I'll be here on the call for another 2 minutes. Thank you, Danpal. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. And I'll be ending the stream now. And I look forward to seeing you next time. So take care, everyone. So, folks on the webinar, if you have got any question, yes, feel free to let me know. If case if you want to speak, let me know. I can unmute you as well. Okay, thank you so much, Murugan. Thanks a lot, team. Thank you, Samiksha. Thanks, Ashish. Thank you, Joy. Okay, thank you, Srinivas. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Meghana. Thank you, Krishna. Okay, excellent, guys. Take care.